It's 2017. That means that the American public education system has been around for almost 400 years. Yes, it is true we have made enormous progress since then, but it has come to a point where we have plateaued. It has come to a point where big problems are occurring because smaller problems are not being recognized. It has come to a point where we are all falling behind, and it has come to a point where American public schools are failing. Worst of all, students have lost their desire to learn. To see this, we went around our Campo Verde campus to ask students of all ages a question. Here is how they answered.
What's the first thing you think about when you hear the word school?
How to kill yourself in 5 steps.
Homework.
Long days.
Education can be really nice and schools could be nice and all, but it's mostly just it puts a lot of emphasis on like grades and how you are.
I hate it.
Almost every answer was a negative one. Education in 2017 should not be a negative thing. So the question remains, why do they hate school and why are we failing? After much consideration and research, we have come to a conclusion. Today, there is a lack of implementation of life skills and mastery in schools. Students are learning for learning's sake, not for mastery, and because of this, they walk away with only basic knowledge and essentially no experience or skill for how to live their life.
There are numerous contributing factors to students' failure to learn. In 1988, 50 school psychologists were surveyed on the top factors that could explain the lack of learning. 2 of the top 5 that were concluded were the curriculum and ineffective teaching. Another factor happens to be standardized testing, a common test that all students must take in order to reach the goal or pass a test. Because of this, there are teachers who only teach what is on the test.
Do you know teachers who only teach what will be on the final exam?
Yes, I do.
Yes. Unfortunately.
Students cram to take the test, then teachers barely review the topic, if ever, leading to the students' inability to remember and perform the previous concepts in a way that demonstrates mastery. Ineffective teaching is a contributing factor for students learning only to take and pass the next test.
No, not really. Sometimes I just don't even pay attention, actually.
I'd say no, just because like I gotta cram for the test and I'm not really worried about like actually learning the material, so I just want to pass the test.
Not really.
Really, because I don't really have to remember it anymore until later for like finals.
The way that schools teach curriculum is inadequate for modern life standards. Common Core is not getting anybody anywhere. Students are delving into topics but only skimming the surface. There is no mastery. Though it is set up to teach some skills like working with others or understanding the basics in order to understand a deeper idea, the curriculum essentially does not leave any student with the proper skills in order to step into adulthood.
Teachers play a huge role in the success of the student, and according to a Californian judge, Judge Ralph M. True, in a single year in a classroom with a bad teacher costs pupils $1.4 million in lifetime earnings per classroom.
Bad teacher? Oh yeah, lots of times. A lot of bad teachers.
I have had a bad teacher.
She wasn't concerned about if we were learning something, it was just getting through the material.
So in a broader perspective, teachers have the power to directly impact a child's career, and the effects of having just one bad teacher are detrimental.
I would say that school equips me with the skills to learn more skills, but not necessarily skills that I will be able to apply later in life.
Of course, there are some high school classes that equip students with these skills to help them be successful when they get out in the real world, but sadly, there's lack of useful teachings. For example, only 13 states require high school students to pass a personal finance class in order to graduate. And the effects of not teaching these skills are causing a lack of good financial habits that will impact their life. If students don't equip themselves with then they might not know how to manage money in the real world. When it comes to mastering the basics, America is lacking. U.S. News found that only 37% of high school students are prepared for college-level reading and math. And these are just some of the results that occur.
As of right now, there are no clear solutions to this major issue. However, here are the solutions we have come up with. First, get rid of standardized testing. Doing away with this would allow students to dive deeper into topics instead of skimming the surface of many topics. Second, change the people teaching the students. The teacher evaluation and hiring system could be improved The qualities of teacher, not just their credentials, should be a larger part of the process. As Ralph Waldo Emerson insists, by simple living, by an inimitable soul, you inspire, you correct, you instruct, you raise, you embellish all. Miss Burson agrees with this.
Then there is Common Core at 3. While the core stuff we have now is important, most emphasis should be put on skills that will benefit students' futures. In The Outliers, Gladwell talks about KIPP schools and the stress that they put on being heavily involved in activities other than academics. Their students are strongly encouraged to participate in physical activities, leadership opportunities, social clubs, and musical groups. What they do goes beyond the classroom. And finally, number 4, change the way students are evaluated and graded. If you work your hardest, you get an A, and if you don't try at all, you get an F. However, that's not how it works. Students should be rewarded for being well-behaved and for putting in their best efforts. Ms. Calloway understands how it works, and here's her philosophy.
You let students take tests, and I call them second chance points. If they do poorly on a test, then they will come in and they will just fix the questions they got wrong. Because I think my purpose as a teacher is to help them learn it. And so if they need more than one try to do that, then I give them the tries that they need. As long as they can learn it, then I give them the credit to do that.
A failing educational system means that everybody is affected. The main issue is that students are learning for learning's sake and are essentially walking out of the public school system with no mastery or life skills. Our main issues come from standardized testing, bad teachers, Common Core, and a dysfunctional grading system. But we can fix it. Yes, it will take work, but we can be the generation that finally changes it all. It's just up to us to rally together and reform.